There we go.
All
Perfect.
right, there we go. Okay, so good
Excellent.
evening, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Hopefully you were able to make it to the meet and greet tonight and meet the teacher and drop off materials and tour the building while you were here. I'm Molly Lewis. I'm the assistant principal at Ocean Lakes, and we also have with us Mr. Peak.
Hey guys, I'm Carl Peak. I'm the instructional technology specialist at Ocean Lakes.
So in an effort to not completely overwhelm you guys, we're just going to go over a few things tonight to get you started and lined up for success at Ocean Lakes. And then if you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the chat and we'll try and get to them. And you can always call the school or contact your child's teacher if you have any questions as well. All right, first up is attendance. So by now, hopefully you have either signed up for the bus or for parent pickup, parent drop off for school. If you have any bus changes, so for example, if you have your child signed up to take the bus home, but you need to pick your child up that day, we ask that you call the office. The number for that is 648-3200. If you're calling to report an absence, you would click on option 3. Attendance start time is 8:10 in the morning. So if you are doing parent drop off and you're here after 8:10, you'll have to come walk your child into the building to sign off. We are out there for parent drop off from about 7:50 to 8:10. Usually right in the beginning, it's really crowded. But then once we start unloading cars at 7:50, it goes pretty quickly. And then if you know that your child is going to be absent, we ask that you send in either a parent note or a doctor note reporting that absence for us. Student dismissal, if you do have a change in dismissal, we ask that you notify the office by 2 p.m. That's so that we can get everything sorted and to the teacher on time and make sure that your child goes home the way that they need to go home. If you decide to email the teacher, we ask that you copy our office associate, Amy Imbriali, on the email. I have her email there. You can jot it down or take a picture of the screen. Teachers aren't available to be checking their email throughout the day because they're going to be working with your kiddos. And so copying Ms. Imbriali on the email will ensure that we get the notification and we can notify the teacher in case they can't get that already. We talked about parents drop off. We also have a parent pickup line. Dr. Reese is going to be sending out more information about parent pickup next week. If you were here today, you registered for a car tag. If you are not here today and you're going to be doing parent pickup, you will need to register for a car tag. You can do that in the office tomorrow or next Wednesday. And then student dismissal will be at about 2:45 is when we'll start dismissing students. We do ask that if you get here early, you don't park in the pickup line before 2:15 p.m. That's so that we can ensure cars can get through that line if needed. But like I said, Dr. Reese will be sending out an email next week with more information specifically about parent pickup and how that works. We have 3 school rules at Ocean Lakes, and they're pretty straightforward. Be responsible, be respectful, and be safe. So we have a school matrix, and we'll look at that on the next slide. But what we do is we talk to kids about, what does it look like to be responsible in the cafeteria? What does it look like to be respectful in the hallways? So the first week of school, teachers will be talking a lot about those school rules and reinforcing how we can ensure student safety in all areas of the building and on the bus as well. And classrooms will also develop individual classroom matrix for their classroom. You see on the top right of the screen, we have a sand dollar there. That's because what we have teachers and staff doing is looking for students who are showing those 3 school rules. And if they see students being responsible or respectful or safe, they'll give them a little paper cutout of a sand dollar. And throughout the year, students save up their sand dollars, and then they have opportunities to trade in their sand dollars. So they could trade them in for lunch with the teacher, for extra library book checkout, all sorts of different things, mostly not tangible things. We do have a few tangible items that they can trade them in for, but we have them work towards rewards. Some of the bigger ones are things like pie a teacher in the face or silly string a teacher. Those are really popular as well, but the students have to really save up in order to earn those rewards. And this is an example of our school-wide matrix for being respectful, responsible, and safe. And you'll see some of the things that we're encouraging students to do in the cafeteria, bus, hallway, restrooms, etc. Right. If your teachers have not asked you already, we do ask that you pack an extra set of clothing and masks for your students. They can keep those in their backpack, especially for the younger students, but even the older students as well. We have things like lunch spills. There's accidents sometimes in PE with, mud and water. Some of our younger students, if they have a bathroom accident, and if you do have that extra clothing or masks in the backpack, it really helps you out as well because you won't have to leave work to come bring extra clothing or pick up your child. Do check throughout the year that extra clothing is season appropriate and includes socks and underwear. Especially regarding masks, they get wet and dirty and gross, and so we want to make sure that we're promoting good hygiene. So we really encourage students to have like 3 masks a day, one that they're wearing and 2 backups in case they get dirty. Right? Library and makerspace. You can see the girls in this photo had completed a little makerspace activity. So we will be having library again this year. Last year, the library had to kind of go to the classroom so that students could check out books. But this year, students will be able to go to the library and check out books. Books are checked out for 1 week, and then if they are overdue, you will have an email notice sent home to you to turn in those books on time. And then for our makerspace, we weren't able to utilize our makerspace last year due to everything related to COVID, but hopefully this year we're going to get that back up and running. That's an opportunity for students to explore hands-on materials related to science, technology, engineering, math, and a lot of students really look forward to being able to do that once a week as well. Right, so lunch. So the lunch menu is available online. If you go to the VB Schools website, you can see the lunch menu. We still do have, under the COVID relief funding, free lunch through December of this year. You don't have to sign up or anything for that. If you want your child to receive free lunch or free breakfast, they can go to the cafeteria at breakfast or at lunch and get that free lunch. There is a way to sign up to add funds to their account should we start charging again for lunch. But like I said, at this time, it is still free lunch through the end of this year. They usually have about 2 options that the kids can choose from each day right now, related to how we're doing things a little bit differently with COVID. If you have visited the building yet this year, for example, when you registered your child, you probably noticed that we have a Buzzin System. So if you come to our main entrance, which is by the flagpole, the Buzzin System is on the right. So all you need to do is ring the doorbell and somebody will respond. They'll ask you, "Hi, how are you? What are you here for today?" You can say, I'm picking my student up early, or I have something to drop off. But we do check IDs upon arrival, and that is to ensure student safety. And if you are signing out your child early for a doctor's appointment or whatnot, you will have to show that ID in order to pick up your child. Again, that's to keep them safe and to keep our other students in our building safe as well. We still do not have visitors in the building this year related to COVID-19. Hopefully, if everything gets under control, maybe later this year, we'll be able to have parent volunteers and other visitors in the building. But right now, we're just not able to do that and maintain our safety mitigations. And so at this time, we still don't have visitors or volunteers. All right, I will turn it over to Mr. Peak. I don't see anything in the chat so far. If you do have any questions so far, you can, again, post your questions in the chat, but I'll let Mr. Peak take it from here, and he's going to talk to us about technology.
Okay, so what I'd like to do, the main focus this evening is just to tell you about the technology resources that are available to you and to your student at Ocean Lakes and how to access those resources. So Ms. Lewis, if we could go ahead and advance to the next slide. Thank you. Ocean Lakes is a one-to-one device school. Now that means that each student from kindergarten through fifth grade, pre-K uses iPads. They are not individually assigned though. Each student will have an iPad available. Chromebooks, however, in grades K through 5 are individually assigned to the student. They will be responsible for taking that device home each day, making sure that it gets charged overnight, and bringing the device back to school the next day. These devices are used for different instructional activities. They're also used for our learning management systems, which we'll discuss in just a moment. Kindergarten, first and second grade pretty much are using Seesaw as their primary learning management system. And then second through fifth grade, they'll be switching over to a program called Schoology, and we'll dive into Schoology a little bit more in one of these slides. I encourage you to read your technology agreement very carefully. Your student is responsible for the device, and should the device become damaged and repairs are necessary, you'll want to take a look at how that's worded in the technology agreement, because the student and ultimately the parents are responsible for that. Ms. Lewis, if we could go to the next slide. All right, so the first resource that your student will encounter is something called Classlink. Classlink really is a gateway to all of the different applications that we use at Ocean Lakes. There are textbooks online, like their math book and their social studies books are available through Classlink. There are reference databases, which we encourage the students to use instead of, hey, just go and Google that, which can lead to a lot of results that are undesirable. We have World Book Online, Pebble Go, National Geographic Kids, Gale Interactive Science, and about a dozen additional databases that are available to your student. And these are available 24 hours a day. So once they take that Chromebook home, they'll still be able to access those databases. We also have curriculum resources, things like code.org is Hour of Code. One of the reading programs we use here is Achieve 3000, and that will also be available through Classlink through the curriculum resources folder. Things like Brain Pop. We have a video editing program called WeVideo that students will have access to 24/7 as well. Some of the other resources that we have available, we use Google Drive extensively. So you can link, your student will be able to link directly to their Google Drive through Classlink. And we do have ebooks available. Some of these ebooks will depend on the teacher to what extent those ebooks are used. But again, if your student asks how to access a particular ebook, we'll start with Classlink, and there is an ebooks folder that they can go to. All right, Ms. Lewis. Okay, so your primary online resources as a parent would be the Ocean Lakes Elementary School website. The address is on the screen. The secondary resource after you go to the Ocean Lakes website, if you don't find it there, you would find what you're looking for on the VB Schools website, which is vbschools.com. We're going to dive into each of those just a little bit more so that you can see what's available on each of those. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. All right, so on the Ocean Lakes website, I am the webmaster. So if you have a question about that, my email address will be on the website. It'll also be at the end of this presentation. You can just give me a shout if you don't see something that you need, or if you see something that you have a question about. But on the Ocean Lakes website, you'll find things like school supply lists, lunch menus, the meal payment system, parent connection, all of the staff email addresses, anyone that your student comes in contact with during the course of a normal school day, from their bus driver to the custodians to a classroom teacher to a specialist to an administrator. All of the email addresses are linked there so you can contact those people directly. I've also recently posted, because there was so much of a need over the last 18 months or so, how to access any of these resources from home. So if your student doesn't recall how to sign on to a Chromebook, for example, or you have difficulty with a Zoom meeting, you can go to the Ocean Lakes website, and underneath the student resources, you will also find a separate link that details how to access Classlink and Zoom and some of the different resources we use. You'll also find a link directly to Classlink Launchpad, so that if your student doesn't recall how to access Classlink, there's a link right on the Ocean Lakes website. We also have information on a wide variety of clubs, including things like STEM Robotics, STEM Maker Expo, Garden Club. I don't know that we'll be doing a running club this year, but any of the different clubs, there are lots of opportunities for students to get involved at Ocean Lakes. That information is on the website, our activities calendar, and recently we just added what's up and down. And what that means is if there's a particular system that we're using, like Securely or Schoology or Classlink or any of those resources, if you have a question of whether or not any technical difficulty that you're experiencing is on your end, or if the system is actually down, you can go to the Ocean Lakes website, and under the student resources, there's a what's up and down page, and you can click on a link that will show you whether or not that particular resource is currently experiencing technical difficulty. Ms. Lewis? Thank you, ma'am. On the vbschools.com website, you'll find things like the parent portal registration, the student handbook, any transportation questions that you have, the school division calendar. So that's going to be things like grading periods and progress reports. Those are the kinds of dates that you'll find on there, holidays, that sort of thing. How to do your lunch payment, as Ms. Lewis said earlier, after we start charging again, there is a system where you can add money to a student's account so that you can do that entirely online. You don't need to come in to do that. There's information about the Schoology, which is our learning management system, as well as a separate section for the connections we make with military families, since we do have such a large military population in this area. As well as how to set up your Alert Now. Now, you'll automatically be set in Alert Now, which is the school division, I won't say emergency notification, but the notification of anything out of the ordinary would come through Alert Now. Parents are automatically enrolled in that, but if you need to change any information or you need to add a number or add an email address, there is a way that you can do that right on vbschools.com, as well as information for our standards of learning or SOLs, which is what our curriculum is based on. Ms. Lewis? Thank you. If you prefer to do that on an app, if you prefer to do that on a mobile device, VB Schools does have an app that's available from the App Store and also on Google Play, and that will give you essentially the same basic information that is on vbschools.com, just in a slightly more condensed format. All right, next slide. Okay, so Schoology is the system that most of our teachers are using to distribute information like assignments, materials, any assessments. Your student will be using, anyone, I would say from second grade through fifth grade will be using Schoology on a daily basis. Kindergarten and first grade, they tend to work with Seesaw, which is a similar platform that's a little bit friendlier to some of our younger students in terms of how easy it is to navigate. but all of your students' courses will be listed in Schoology when they sign in. There is a course dashboard, and what you see on the preview on the screen are the course tiles. And by clicking on each of those tiles, the student will access the different materials. There should be all of the information that your student needs for every class that they take should be contained in those tiles. Teachers should place that information in their home room initially so that you can see how their course is set up, how it's structured. It is a folder structure, so most of the teachers will set that up sequentially. So you'll have a particular week's assignments or a particular unit assignment will be in a folder, so it'll be logically structured so that your child will be able to find the material that they need. If you have any specific questions about Schoology for a particular class, I would contact the teacher directly. There are some general structure guidelines that we have, but each teacher puts their own little spin, perhaps, on how they like to organize their class. So if you have specific questions about that, your student's teacher would be the one to contact. Okay, Ms. Lewis? All right, and finally, I think it's important for you to know, we do stress this with the students, but we use a web browser or a tracking system called Securely. This system allows us to do a number of things with school-owned devices. All of your students will be assigned a school-owned device, and we try and remember and try and emphasize to them that it is a school-owned device. We are not giving it to them. It does not belong to them. And as such, we do track the activity on that device. During school hours, essentially from roughly 7:30 until about 3 o'clock, at any time, we can see exactly what is happening on that device, no matter where it is located, whether it is being used at home or if it is being used at school. We have the ability to bring up that screen. We have the ability to monitor exactly what is happening on that device. And I think it's important for you and for your student to understand that it is owned by the school division, and we can see what's happening on that device at any time. Now, the ability to directly monitor what's happening on a device is only during school hours. After school hours, the browsing tracker does still keep a record of what's happening on the device, and that website history cannot be cleared by the student. It would include website browsing, video history, any search terms, and secondary school, any wiki entries. We're not doing wikis at the elementary school level, but none of that information can be cleared by the student. That information is available to any staff member for the entire student body. So any teacher at any time can go in and search the browsing history for a school-owned device. Where you might want to track that is if you have a question about what's happening on that school-owned device at any time, feel free to contact us. And as long as that device is signed on under a student's VBCPS ID, which on a school-owned device is the only way they're going to access it anyway, we can provide you with a browsing report, and that is 24/7. So whatever they're doing at that device at any time, we have the ability to go back and take a look at a record for that. Again, I think it's important for you to understand that and for that to be emphasized with our students as well. All right, Ms. Lewis. And that is everything that I have. My email address is on the screen, but I also, all of our email addresses are on the school website, which is oceanlakeses.vbschools.com. And we will be happy to help you at any time with any question you have. Ms. Lewis?
All right. If there's no questions, we look forward to seeing your kids next week, 1 week from today. So September 9th will be the first day of school, and we will see you all then. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight.